Hi everybody, welcome to this first in what we hope will be a series of webinars. I hope you can all hear me properly. Please let John know in chat if you can't hear anything or if there's something that we're not covering properly. Hopefully this will be helpful to both new and seasoned users of the RSP and SDRuno. We will explore a wide range of applications throughout the series, and we'll include real-world use cases which will help to show the flexibility of the SDRplay offering. I just want to start today's session with some brief information, and then we'll just get straight into it. You don't hear any audio, John? Anybody else hear the audio? Okay, all right, I'll crack on. Must be your end, John. So my name's Andy. I'm responsible for software development at SDRplay. We're a small team, but we care passionately about what we produce, and we are very interested to see all of the wide range of applications and how you use. Okay, good. You're hearing it. Okay, good. And how you use the products. We've been really impressed with how well the community helps each other, and we really appreciate the efforts of people like Paul and Mike and Preben and others. There are so many others that we can't name individually who go out of their way to help other users of the products and other hardware products as well. And they also give us a hard time to make sure that the products are better for you guys, which is good. I just want to say that I'm not a ham radio guy myself. John is, and he's been giving me a 101 on ham radio techniques. It's slowly rubbing off. We are getting there, but it really has given me a great understanding of how you guys are using the products, and we want to make sure that the products they're not just there, for a kind of general purpose. That we make sure that what we deliver in terms of the software, that now that we have our own software finally, is tailored to what you guys need. These webinars series will be interactive. Please feel free to post comments and chat. John will be there to respond and also remind me if I get anything wrong or miss anything. As these are live, these things may go wrong in the demos. These videos will not be edited, but we will post comments or other videos to explain something maybe in a better way. These broadcasts will be available on our website afterwards. Okay, let's see what we're going to start with. Okay. Oh yeah. I also have to say that we asked everybody posting in chat is please respectful of other people's views. We all do tend to see things slightly differently. John's say is final, and if anyone posts obscenities or is disrespectful or abusive comments, then they will be banned. But we hope that none of that happens. And let's start playing. Okay. So I'm not going to go into the details of how to install SDRuno. John's covered that in other videos. I'm just going to, we're using version 1.02, which is currently the latest one. I'm just going to get cracking and start it up here. I've cleaned out the registry, and so we're starting afresh. So hopefully you can all see this this window. Okay, so before we get cracking, I do want to say something about these windows. We've seen obviously a lot of people say, hey, they're very small and they're difficult to see and different resolutions and some of the graphic issues that some people are having. We are aware of this. It's a very modular system. We like that it's modular. I'll explain a little bit about why it's modular and how that benefits you in practical terms. So we don't want to lose that, but we are aware that obviously as screens get bigger and resolutions get larger, we're going to have to do something with the software to cope for those conditions. I'm just going to explain some of the functions of these windows in more detail. So obviously when you start SDRuno up, you just get the one window. It's called the main window. What we've done here is we've embedded some of the RSP functionality into this window, and so when you start up the application, if you cannot see these four buttons, so LNA, AGC, Advanced and Performance, if you cannot see those buttons, that means that it hasn't recognized the RSP. I'll quickly demonstrate that. So I'm going to quit. In fact, I've only got one RSP connected, so if I start up another version of SDRuno, okay, if I start up another one, it's not going to be able to find. Let me just click on there. In fact, if I just unplug this one, and then I start up SDRuno again. Okay, so you can now see. Okay, I'm back. Okay, let's crack on before. Okay, yeah, let's crack on before it dies again. We're going to have to change provider, I think, for the next one. Okay, I just wanted to try and show you the difference in the look of the window with the RSP connected and the RSP not connected. If the RSP is not connected, certain functions differ. Very brief history of SDRuno is that obviously it used to be Studio One, which you can still purchase. It still works as it did before. For SDRuno going forward, we're going to develop it specifically for the RSP. So it's going to be very difficult for us to add functionality that is specifically for the RSP that we then have to validate and guarantee for every other piece of hardware. That's kind of not practical. It will affect our development, and we don't want to be constrained in that respect. Given the fact that Studio One is already available and can be purchased, so that's kind of the way it's going to be. So SDRuno going forward is going to fully support the RSP. It will have some support for other hardware platforms. We're not going to take out the functionality that's already there. Okay, so let me quit SDRuno and start again with the RSP connected. Okay, let's get cracking here. Okay, so brief rundown. We've got the main window. What I want to take you through is one instance of the VRX, and then I want to explain what the VRX is and what it does for you. So the RX button will bring up an RX control panel. This is where you can set frequencies and set filter bandwidths and various functions. The other two windows I'm going to bring up right now is the SP1, which is obviously that's a spectrum window. So that's the main spectrum window for the incoming signals. And then there's another nice feature, which is SP2, which is the output display. So that's kind of what's leaving SDRuno, and I really like this feature. I think this is nice. You can argue why aren't all these in one window? I mean, going forward we may look at that as an option, but I kind of like the fact that you can have different windows up at different times. You don't have to have the SP2 window. In fact, you don't even have to have any of the windows open, and you can still listen to audio. So there's a lot of functionality here that we don't want to throw away just because it's kind of different and it isn't what everybody else is doing. We want to make SDRuno intuitive. There are certain bits of it that aren't very intuitive right now, and I'm going to cover some of those. So we are going to make some changes in that respect, but we don't want to do anything that's going to affect its signal processing performance, because it is extremely powerful. And we don't want to do anything really just for the sake of doing it. I want to do stuff with SDRuno that really has a positive impact from how you guys use it. I just want to, while we're here, I just want to briefly talk about VRXs. So a number of questions have come in, and people don't really kind of get what the deal is with the VRX. So basically, each instance of SDRuno can connect to one hardware platform, and the instance number is shown in the main window. This is instance 0. I could have 3 or 4 instances of SDRuno connected to 3 or 4 different hardware devices. That would all work quite happily. I've had 3 RSPs running with 3 different versions of SDRuno quite happily on one machine. That's quite nice. Within a given instance of SDRuno, you can then have multiple virtual receivers. So the thing to remember about virtual receivers is virtual receiver 0 always controls the frequency that is sent to the RSP. Every other VRX added inside that instance of SDRuno has to work within that bandwidth that you specify. So if I specify a frequency of 100 megahertz, so we can do this right now. So VRX 0, I'm going to specify 100 megahertz frequency. Okay, and we go to 100 megahertz. I'm going to specify 10 megahertz bandwidth. And then when I play, I'm going to turn all this down. So we've got 10 megahertz of bandwidth centered around 100 megahertz. If I now add another virtual receiver, I now have to stop the display and I add a virtual receiver. You can see in the main window, hopefully, we've now got VRX1, and there are 3 buttons associated with that: SP1, SP2, and RX. Obviously, each virtual receiver has its own control panel, so we'll bring that up. You can see the difference in the VRX control panels. Top right-hand corner, that shows you which VRX it's part of. So this is running in SDRuno instance 0, which is kind of what we have up in the main window. And the bottom RX control window is instance so VRX 0, and then the one above it is now VRX 1. Now the thing about VRX 1 is I want to now change the frequency of VRX 1. I can use the mouse to go up and down frequencies, but you'll see that I'm now scrolling, right? And it won't let me go above 105, and I now scroll down the other way, and it won't let me go below 95. It is slaved to the first. Patrick, if you can't see, just refresh. It should all be up and running. So every other VRX is slave to VRX 0, and that's an important thing to remember. Going forward, we really want to do something about this. I would prefer the LO frequency to be shown somewhere else. And then I don't really want that to be affected. I don't want to be that, I think that confuses people. It's particularly if once you start getting more than one virtual receiver, you start getting 2 or 3, people can get very confused as to what frequency they're programming, particularly when you can click on the VRX 0 and when you start moving around the frequency. If you refresh, Patrick, so all I can suggest. Hopefully people are seeing what's going on. It says online at my end, so just try refresh. Okay, so if I set the frequency in the VRX control window, that sets the LO frequency. However, if I scroll around up in the SP1 window, I've seen instances where this doesn't set the LO frequency. It's, for me, I want some more clearer distinction between what the LO frequency is and what the VF effectively I think of these as VFO frequencies. So I want clearer distinction between the LO frequency and the VFO frequency. So that's one thing that we are going to do. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we are aware that people are sort of struggling with that. while we've got these two VRXs going, this one's not active until I actually make it active. So now they're both active. What you can do, and one of the nice things you can do, is you can determine the output of each of these VRXs independently. So here I've got RX settings 00 for the VRX0 instance, and I've got RX settings for the VRX1. I can specify one of them to go to my headset. I can specify the other one to go to virtual audio cable, and I can process them independently. I can be listening AM on one, so I can be, let's say for argument's sake, I'm listening at AM broadcast down at a megahertz. If I program my frequency to say 5 megahertz with a 10 megahertz bandwidth, I can set VRX0 to AM broadcast, and I can sit and listen to my AM broadcast, and also I can be processing Morse code over at 7 megahertz, and I can do that in VRX1. I can set that to CW, and the output via virtual audio cable, and I can pipe that into a different application. So I think that is very powerful. I like the ability to do that. Some people have mentioned about the VFO numbers. There's only 2 VFOs per virtual receiver, and obviously we're aware of that. That is in the melting pot of things to be looked at going forward. So, Patrick, you're a Studio One. Yeah. So what we've done is so Sandro has sold us the rights to Studio One, but we've given Sandro we've given him an exclusive license to basically do what he wants with it again. So if I think you can still purchase Studio One. If he still wants to develop it and maintain it for other hardware, he's still free to do that. We didn't want to restrict him from doing any of that. But SDRuno is going to be SDRuno development will we will support other hardware with a reduced feature set, but some of the functionality, some of the functionality will be specific to the RSP. It's kind of we give SDRuno away for free, and people can still buy Studio One for other hardware if they want to. So we kind of felt that was it was kind of the best of both worlds, really. Okay, so where was I? VRXs. Yeah, so I hope you can keep adding VRXs. Okay, so yeah, no problem, Patrick. I mean, we're Captain Nemo. Okay, so my name's Andy. Just to recap for some people who weren't at the beginning, my name's Andy. I'm the responsible for software development at SDRplay. John Hudson is in chat, and so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away. This is a bit, this is informal. It's we're not. This isn't scripted. Let's. We really just want to try and help people get the most out of our offering. And we kind of saw a lot of chat on Facebook and elsewhere where people were saying, yeah, hey, we like SDR, it's great, but it's complicated and it's not very intuitive, and we'll come back when you guys fix it. And I just wanted to sort of connect with some of you guys and say, look, we understand that this is powerful, complex software, and we want to try and make it as intuitive and easy to get into as possible, but without losing that the power and the flexibility that it has. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky going forward to get that balance. But hopefully with sessions like this, and in future we'll get more people coming in to join us on these sessions, and we'll go through some real life use cases, and that's really what I want to get stuck into. But just today, we're just going to cover SDRuno's basic functionality, and just to sort of explain to you kind of where we're going with it. The other thing about VRX is I just wanted to sort of some of the functionality, like for example, we still support the Teammate hardware controllers. I have one here. It's a Teammate 2 hardware controller. I had that for testing, and I liked it. It's an don't get me wrong, it's an expensive box, but it works very well. And you kind of think, well, okay, you've got virtual receivers. Well, how do I control that with a single hardware controller? And so you've got buttons in the VRX window at the top here, M control, T control, and these will tell the software which VRX you want to control. So if I click here, my hardware controller is now controlling VRX0, and if I click here, my hardware controller is now controlling VRX1. And that's the same with the memory functions. So if I want to store memory functions from VRX0, I click here, and if I click and if I want to store memory from a VRX1, then I click here. Other differences in VR. I mean, really, just to remember that VRX0 controls the hardware frequency. Beyond that, I think they all sort of behave the same. You just have to remember that they all have different outputs, or they all can have different outputs if that's what you want. And you can configure them all differently. So you can have all the filter settings and the notch settings. They're all completely independent with each receiver. So I really like the fact that you can have a virtual receiver controlling independently, and then you've got the hardware. You've got the hardware input to all of them. Very, very, very nice. Okay, so let's get rid of VRX1. Now, David Stark, I don't know if David Stark is here, but he put a list of functions together, or features or tasks that I think there's about 10 or so, that he said that every ham radio guy wants to be able to do easily. So I thought let's just cover all of those as a starting point. Okay, so setting the sample rate. So up in the main window, anything to do with the RSP is done from the main window. Because the output of the RSP goes to all the VRXs, apart from setting the LO frequency, which is done in VRX0, everything else is done in the main window. So the bandwidth and the modes, everything is done from the main window. People that are used to using the RSP with HDSDR will have been familiar with the EXTIO control panel, and we kind of wanted to do something that was more in keeping with SDRuno, and something that was a bit more accessible. Again, people were saying to us, lots of functionality with the RSP. It's just a bit too overwhelming if you're just starting out with SDR. So what we've done is we've tried to do a bit of both. We have a simple way of programming the RSP, and then we have the advanced way. So the simple way is you just specify the bandwidth that you want to be working with in here. So I just click in here, and I say, I don't know, 5 megahertz, and I want to play with 5 megahertz of bandwidth, and you decide whether you want the LNA on or off. This GR slider under here is gain reduction. I'm going to come back to gain reduction in just a second, but there's a slider here for gain reduction, and basically once you've kind of set that and you've set your frequency, you just play and then start. and that's it. And that's all. That's all you need to do. I just want to, while we're talking about this window, I just want to talk about gain versus gain reduction. So a lot of people have said to us, "Why do you work in gain reduction? Every other SDR works in gain." And so basically, gain is an arbitrary thing. Unless you know what the end-to-end system gain is, it's very difficult to be precise about what gain is. So the way Mirix specifies gain is they basically the gain reduction in the 01, in the MSI 001, is set by programmable attenuators on chip, and so the only real sensible way to do that is to say that how much gain you are from maximum gain. And so the whole Mirix chipset works from gain reduction, and so it kind of made sense for us to continue with that. And so I mean, if I just want to pull up something, I was sort of looking into this the other day and trying to wanted to kind of give you guys a better understanding than I'm a software guy and my waffle. So I got some wording here that will probably help you. Just one second. Not very professional. I should have had this prepared beforehand. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So gain is an analog measurement of signal amplification between defined points, and the only defined points within the RSP is the antenna port. So you cannot do an absolute measurement of gain. Even if you consider the ADC input to be the output of the analog signal chain, the absolute maximum gain from the antenna port to the ADC input varies from band to band. We have different amounts of switching with the LNA on and off in different bands, and so we could have taken a view that we sort of say, okay, let's just assume there's 100 dBs of signal, 100 dBs of maximum gain. We could pretend that, and we could sort of do the numbers to pretend that, but there is a general perception that more gain is better. So we could have said 110 dBs, or we get compared that why do you only have 100 and XYZ has 110? So it kind of when we sort of weighed all that up, it didn't make a lot of sense to do it that way. And so, for right or wrong, depending on your point of view, we work in the way that the manufacturer of the chipset works, at gain reduction, and that's kind of I know it sets us apart from other companies. It's I guess that's just the quirk of SDRplay. So basically, this gain reduction slider shows you, and then displayed in the bottom right hand corner, if you can see that, of the main window, how much gain reduction you are applying from maximum gain. Obviously, if I turn the LNA on and off, what you'll notice is that the way we do it is that there's 20 in this particular band. There's 24 dBs of gain reduction for the LNA. So I've turned the LNA off, and the gain reduction for the IF has dropped from 61 to 37. The total gain reduction has remained at 61. So that's why the noise. I know somebody commented the other day was, I'm turning the LNA on and off, but the noise floor isn't changing. Well, we did it the other way round to start with. So when you turned off the LNA, we had that amount of gain reduction coming off the entire total system gain. And what people were saying was, hey, I've got my LNA on, and and I'm using AGC to get near, and then I go and turn the LNA off, and my whole noise floor drops by 24 dBs. So we did that differently. So now when you turn the LNA on and off, there's a compensation made such that the total system gain remains the same whether the LNA is on or off. And that makes it more usable when you are using the AGC. One word of, while we're talking about AGC very briefly, we have discovered that there is a bug in the AGC algorithm with the API that's in SDRuno. And some people have noticed that there is like a bouncing effect, that it will bounce between one gain reduction value and another. So we acknowledge that that is a bug in the API, and that will be addressed. It's already been fixed, but it will be addressed in SDRuno in the next release. Okay, so we've talked about how to use the RSP in easy mode. Before we go and look at advanced mode, I do just want to say one thing about this perf button. We may remove it, we may leave it in there. I'll just briefly explain what the purpose of it was. So for any given IF bandwidth of the RSP, there is a minimum allowed sample rate, and then there's a maximum allowed sample rate. Now, you really, for the best noise performance, you really want the highest sample rate, but that's obviously more CPU performance. So I had this idea where by default we would, for a given IF bandwidth, we would pick the lowest sample rate, which would give the best CPU performance, and then if people had more horsepower and they wanted that better noise performance, they press the perf button, and that's what it does. So the difference between the perf button being on and perf button being off is with it on, it uses more CPU, but you get better noise performance. With it off, it uses less CPU, and you get slightly worse noise performance. Now, the difference between these, both in CPU terms and noise performance, you're going to get better noise performance. The noise performance will improve more than the CPU load will go up. So, we would look for you to give us some feedback on that as to all the different platforms that you're running on, or tablets. We're very keen to keep this working on Windows XP, Windows Vista, because we acknowledge that a lot of you guys are still running boxes with that on, and tablets, and we have this running on Windows tablets, and it runs very nicely. So I'd like to get some feedback from you guys as to whether that is worth having, that button, or whether you even know what it's there for, or because that's the sort of thing that we'll look to you guys for some guidance on. Okay, so if we click on advanced now, we're going to pull up the advanced window. I hope you guys can see that. The RSP has two basic modes of operation. We've got 0IF mode and low IF mode. I think probably the 90% of people probably will just use 0IF mode. If you specify bandwidth on the main window, it always uses 0IF mode. There is no way to use this bandwidth on the front menu with low IF mode. Again, it's to just kind of simplify things and keep everything very simple. If you want to use low IF mode, you can pull up the advanced window, and you have 0IF and low IF. Low IF has 4 IF bandwidths, and it only supports certain sample rates with those bandwidths. So I'll give you an example. So if I go low IF, if I pick up and if I open up the IF bandwidth menu, I've got an option of 0.2, 0.3, 0.6 or 1.536 megahertz. The others are grayed out because these are 0IF bandwidths only. What you'll see now is when I select one of these bandwidths, so if I pick the 1.536, you see that the RSP sample rate is actually 8.192 megahertz. And what we've now got is this new API that we'll be releasing very soon, is we now support decimation. So we can get better performance by specifying higher sample rates. We use decimation such that the final sample rate that the SDRuno sees is actually 2 megahertz. But you will get better performance with this. These are all fixed. I can't change the decimation value here. I can't change the sample rate. If I specify 0.2 megahertz bandwidth, I still get a decimation of 4. The sample rate into the RSP is 2, and the final sample rate is a half. Zero IF, no filter on IF. We're not talking of things like direct sampling. Still IF stage. Yeah, so this is direct conversion. If I think I'm answering your question correctly. John John probably be able to give more details on that. So that is so in terms of low IF, that is in terms of low IF, that's all your options. In zero IF mode, you can now specify any of these bandwidths. So I can specify an 8 megahertz bandwidth, and I can specify the sample rate here is 10, so I can see 10 megahertz of bandwidth. I can also specify if I wanted to, I could specify 5 megahertz bandwidth. Here I could specify a sample rate of 10, but I can actually now specify a decimation point of factor of 2. So my final sample rate is 5 megahertz, and that is actually better than me specifying a decimation of 1 with a sample rate of 5. So there's a lot of flexibility here in terms of what you're looking for, in terms of CPU load, noise performance. I would suggest that you kind of have a play around with some of these values to sort of see if that gives you better performance for your application. Here we've got okay, so let me just kind of go back to something fairly sensible. So if we have a button here, DC IQ. So we have in the API there is DC offset correction and IQ compensation. With one of the features of zero IF is that you will get a noise spike. Yeah, quite dramatically seen here. Let me just lower the noise floor a bit. So I hope you can see that I've turned the DC and IQ correction off, and you see this. I get this spike here, and then if I turn it on, it's gone, and that's software. That's software doing that. So that the low IF mode isn't affected by that. That button doesn't have any effect in low IF. That's a zero IF mode option only. And I recommend that you just leave it on. Again, we sort of provide all these features, these enable and disable features, because we can. It's really up to you guys to decide whether you need to sort of use them or not. The set point for the AGC is here. -30 is what we typically sort of recommend. With the next, I don't know if it's going to be in the next release of a Uno, but maybe the one after that, we will be revising the AGC function, and we'll be adding more features to it to specify the knee and the slope and this kind of stuff. It's the AGC scheme that we have at the moment is one that we've used for a few years, and we've got another one in the pipeline, but I don't know exactly when that's coming. We'll obviously keep you guys informed as to when that's going to be, but that's going to be quite neat. We'll be able to have much more control over the AGC. LO plan. So this really, I mean, I don't really use myself. I don't really use anything other than auto. For frequencies, sort of, I guess between sort of 250 and 450. If you have image issues or interference issues, you can try different different LO schemes. We've got the 3 available there. If you find that auto isn't working for you, they do have different frequency ranges that they're optimal in. That's all in the documentation that's on the website. I don't have them to hand right now, but that's what that does. DC mode, again, a lot of these options you probably won't even need to go anywhere near. The Merix tuner can support various modes of operation for the DC correction. It can do static or one shot or continuous. We just leave it in periodic. We find that gives the best performance. But again, it's all there if you want to play with it. How often it refreshes and how it tracks. So this is basically all of the options that you had in the EXTIO panel, but obviously in just a format that's sort of more in keeping with SDRuno. So that's pretty much what we've done there. I mean, there are so many functions within SDRuno. I don't really know. Really, if any of you guys in chat have anything particular you want to kind of cover, I don't really want to get into what you do with the VAC output. We can. I really want another session to specifically cover what you do with the output of SDRuno. And I know Mike in particular has got an interest in doing that, and he's written up some instructions. So I really want to do some more detailed seminars on specific issues like that. I am a DX listener, and I'm curious to know why there is a 4096 megabyte limitation in the recording file size. Could that be made any larger? Well, this is a. I need to go and check why that is. I mean, that's we've obviously inherited that from SDR. We've inherited that from Studio One. I need to go and figure out why that is. SDRuno is a 32-bit application, but that doesn't give you 4 gigs. So don't know. I'll need to go figure out why that is I need to go find out why that is I mean, obviously, all of these comments I will make notes of, and if I can't answer them now, I will get you guys answers. And if there are things we can do in SDRuno to make things better, make things easier for you, we definitely will. Expertise. I don't know about expertise. Enthusiasm. Plans for SDRuno is convincing me to move on from older, poorly supported SDRs and get one more RSPs. This webinar is convincing me I need to become a customer. Great. I mean, it's we're not doing this to. We're not really. When I thought about these ideas to do these, it really was more about connecting with the customers, and I was seeing a lot of people saying, yeah, SDRuno was great, but if it just did this, or if it could do that. And I just wanted to have some connection with you guys to say, we're aware that there are issues and aware of concerns, but we're really excited to have SDRuno as part of the SDRplay offering. It's something that we've wanted to kind of get to for some time, and now that we have it, it's going to fully support all of our product range going forward. It's going to have to be it's going to have to deal with more complex systems and situations, but we're keen that as we grow the product range, the SDRuno is developed in such a way that it can cope with all of that. We just want to make sure that it remains powerful, but is not too overwhelming that people say, actually, you know what, yeah, I'm sure it does X, Y, Z, but I'll stick with HD SDR or something else. That's really where we're coming from. I need a larger RX control. Marta. Yeah, I kind of the size of the windows is an interesting thing. I kind of I understand where the look has come from. It's obviously to look like a hardware box, and it was obviously designed some years ago. So we do need to make some changes. Definitely make some changes there. Maybe that is just some scaling, or maybe we do something a bit more different than that. I'm not sure, but yes, we will be addressing the main window and the RX control window, which are the two that people are complaining about. Okay, that's a Windows WAV limit, I believe. Yeah, I don't know, Paul. I will. I've got an action here to go find out why that is a limit, and the WAV format is limited to files unless because of it's used. Yeah, it could that one can set no limit fill size or no according to 40 gigs. Okay, that's interesting. I will definitely have a look if that's something we can do. Maybe with I don't know about multiple files. Maybe don't know. Need to think about that. But that's if that's a popular use case, then we certainly want to look at how we can best support that. I'm very keen to do that. Andy, will you consider to add more shortcuts for us tinkers who like to make external controllers not interfere with teammate? No. Yeah, of course we will. No, of course. I mean, we've had the source code for this for a few weeks, so I'm kind of finding my way around how things are done, and I have to say I've been very impressed with everything I've seen. Yeah, I know where the shortcut code is, so yeah, I can do that, Mike. That's okay. We can yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem. Fax cap. Hardware question for the boss. Will there be a shielded metal box version at some point? Keep yeah. What could I say? I'm a software guy. I don't make them. So I'll pass the comment on. Fax cap. I think they've heard that a few times. Okay, I kind of have really waffled on quite a bit, and I haven't really gone through David's list of things to do. And I kind of feel like I should be. I don't know. Is there anything? Is there anything specific that you guys want to see? Is there something you've been trying to do with SDRuno that you can't, or you're not sure how to, or we're all friends here. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still learning about SDRuno. I'm not. I don't know what every single button does. I'm still learning as much as anybody else. So I've just spent all day hooking up a G5RV antenna, and yeah, it's interesting. I don't know why you guys think this is a hobby, but I'm finding the whole thing extremely interesting, and I'm yeah, Mike. I'm actually quite keen to get to a few shows as well. I think John's going to organise some of that a bit later on in the year, maybe. But I'm very interested in the use cases. I used to work with an application where it was clear that the people developing the software were not the people who use the software, and it was very frustrating. And and I want to make sure that we develop the software that develops at the same pace as the hardware is developing. So with each new revision of the hardware, we want to make sure that the software moves along with it in the direction that the users of the software want it to go. There's no point me saying, hey, we're going to do this because it's easy, or hey, we're going to do this because I think it's a good idea. We need to make sure that the software does what the users want it to do. So, and I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying it so you go out and buy one. I really, we all at SDRplay, we all believe that that's the way forward. We've got a very long list of things to do with SDRuno. Some of the things, the next release. So let me just briefly talk about development cycle. So we are aware, and we have been made aware, that we haven't delivered yet on the API and the EXTIO control panel release that we've been talking about for some time. That's what's happening right now. So the API and the EXTIO panel will be the next thing you see from us. Then I may get a few days off, may not, but we'll see. But basically coming into sort of August and September, we're going to have quite a big push on SDRuno. I think the first release will be a lot of bug fixing. So we'll try and get that out fairly quickly. We'll fix up the AGC and there are some other things that we really want to get fixed. And then we're going to start looking at some of the features, adding some features, and we'll figure out what the best ones to add are. We don't want a huge gap between releases, so we're going to have to plan the releases and the features, but we'll do that, and we'll make we'll have a system where people will be able to log in and they'll be able to register bugs or features, and they'll be able to track that through the system. So they'll see they'll be able to see our comments and whether it's already been fixed, whether it's in the pipeline, whether it's something we're not going to do, and all that. We'll have a system where people can do that, and we'll be able to follow that through. License exams. Oh, crikey. I think I'm done with exams. Really? Customizable colors. So you can get different waterfall colors currently as it stands. So at the moment it's Spectran, but you got horns, which is quite bright. Spectran X, which is good darker, but it's got the sort of pinky bits in it. Then there's Winrad, which has got the green in it, and then Linrad, which is same sort of thing but a bit darker. So there are those, and there's contrast, so I can make it very dark, or I can make it very bright. But yeah, if you've got a feature request on stuff like that, then please let us know. Filter bandwidth, stuff that's in the stuff that the Mirix chipset can do. Every revision of the API exploits more and more of what the Mirix chipset can do. But I think we're at the limits for IF bandwidth. We spend more words about bandwidth decimation, sample rate relationships in the software and hardware. A tech guide would help. Yeah, and maybe the best thing, Captain Nemo, is maybe we could put out a like you say, like a technical note. That might be the best way to do it. Yeah, that's probably. Okay. I'll make a note here about keep tabs on the website, and we'll get some I'll either post something on the forum. I'll have a think about the best way to do that. Please fix the recording. Yes, Ismo. Next release. So we did a fix to fix. We fixed one thing in the V1.0 and 1.01, and then broke something else. So the location, the directory save location is broken. I know that, and yeah, I will. That will be fixed. That's going to be fixed in the next release. Steve. Okay, HD SDRs and 4 gigs. Okay. So that might be worth. Okay, I need to think about. Let's have a look at that. Okay. You mean filter bandwidths in the application? Yeah. Okay. So some people have said to us that the filter bandwidths, and there is some slightly odd things. So in the receiver control window, obviously if you select some functions, they stay lit. Some functions actually stay lit when they're not in use. So, for example, I'm in AM mode, but the FM mode, I can still select all of the FM modes. And that's slightly confusing people. And also some of the filters. So when I select the filters, they are obviously being selected because you can see them being changed in the auxiliary window, but they don't stay lit. And so people, unless you actually have that window displayed, people don't know what filter bandwidth has been selected. And we've also been told that these need to be different values or more values. So yeah, we will definitely be addressing that, Paul, for sure. 50 kilohertz on USB to feed skimmer. Okay. Full featured recording scheduler timer feature. So okay, so you want to basically say you want to record 2 hours at such a point in the future. That's that'll have to go on the feature request list, which I shall make a note of. So okay, so Pascal, I think that Pascal, different OSs. So I don't really want to say too much about OS support. The biggest issue we have is not the way it's been developed, but the system that it's been developed in is very Windows focused. It's gonna be quite a job to move to different OSs. I can't say that it won't happen, and I can't really say it will happen. It just depends on a number of things. The signal processing port, and obviously there's two. For me, there's two parts of it. There's the signal processing side, and then there's the GUI side. And funny enough, the easiest bit is probably the signal processing, and the hardest bit is probably the GUI, just purely because of what it's been designed in and the components that have been used. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a fair chunk of work. And so all I can say to you right now is that we are aware that's a number of people have asked for it. All I can say is that we are aware of it. It is on the list, and until I hit something that says this can't be done, it will stay on the list. Yeah, we're almost out of time. This hasn't gone as I had expected it to. I had a list of things to show you, but maybe this has worked for some people. I hope it gives people a bit of a background as to where we're coming from, where we want SDRuno to go. The guys are working hard on on the hardware products, and certainly keeping me busy with software support. So it's a very exciting time. It's very interesting. A lot of hard work, but yeah, I mean, seeing some of the comments on yeah, forget the scripts. Yeah, you should have seen the one I had written. Yeah, it hasn't gone that way. But seeing what you guys write on the forum, I mean, good and bad. We're not. It's you guys have high expectations, and I think that's good. It keeps us on our toes. We don't get complacent. We are always striving to do more and to do better. And if we can do stuff that helps a particular use case, I'm all about use cases. I really want to do stuff for specific use cases, not just add it in because either somebody else has done it. Yeah, Z3 3T. We want to do that. I want to be able to see what the LO frequency is, and then I want to play around in the VRX and specify the VFO. And so we will be doing that. I don't know if it's going to happen in the next release, because I really want to get that. There's quite a few bugs that I want to get fixed and get that one out there. So it might take us a little time to figure out how best to do that. But it's definitely on the list of things to do sooner than later. So yeah, any comments of how good or bad this webinar has gone? We would definitely be doing more if they're of any use to you guys. Maybe gives a little bit of an insight as to where we're coming from, where our thought processes are. We don't have a set direction and we're going to go that way irrespective. We always look at what you guys are saying. Any chance of remote control audio app for iOS and Android devices? Handsets are very interesting. We have so SDR Touch now has support for the RSP on Android, which is a very cool thing. Martin, the author of SDR Touch, has done a great job there. I have some ideas for iOS. The problem is it's just finding the time. That's the only problem. And other hardware. We want to do Odroid support. BeagleBone Black is sitting here waiting to have support. So we're not short of things to do. And we really appreciate all the feedback you guys give us, good and bad. And we hope you want to see more of these webinars. A free college lecture. I don't know about that. But yeah, we really want to thank everybody for turning up. If anybody has any other questions that we never got a chance to, or I just missed reading the chat, please feel free to send them to support@sdrplay.com or software@sdrplay.com. We monitor both of those, and we try and get back to everybody in as quick as time as we can. We're very keen that people fire off a lot of questions to support. We're very keen to give people answers as quick as we can. It's not very nice to have to sit around and wait. Yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. I certainly have. And keep an eye on the website, and we'll do some more. Okay, thanks a lot, guys, and see you all soon.